Social media has exploded today with the news that Pope Francis has called the carved wooden statues at the center of an idolatry scandal in the Vatican Pachamama statues. Moreover, he has apologized as, quote, the Bishop of Rome to those who were offended at the statues being removed from the church and thrown into the Tiber, with no apology at all to those offended by the presence of those statues in the church and the kneeling prostration, faces to the ground, before those statues in the Vatican gardens. Today, too, the head of the Vatican's communications actually denied that any such prostration took place, despite the video evidence to the contrary. After frantic questions by media organizations, LifeSite included, which were sent to the official Vatican press office, the official transcripts of the Pope's remarks were sent to us by the Vatican press. And here's what the Pope said, and I'll quote it. And this is a translation by our own Diane Montagna. Good afternoon. I would like to say a word about the Pachamama statues that were removed from the church at Transpontina, which were there without idolatrous intentions and were thrown into the Tiber. First of all, said the Pope, this happened in Rome, and as the bishop of the diocese, I ask pardon of the people who were offended by this act. Then I can inform you that the statues which created so much media clamor were found in the Tiber. These statues were not damaged. Believe it or not, the Pope even suggested that the statues may be used in St. Peter's for the closing Mass of the Synod. Those statues, now acknowledged by the Pope himself as Pachamama statues, first caused scandal when they were seen in the controversial Vatican Garden ceremony on October the 1st, just prior to the official launch of the Amazonian Synod. The statues were the center of a display of Amazon artifacts around which a group, including a Franciscan friar, prostrated themselves, kneeling with faces to the ground in an obvious act of worship. Today, the Vatican media chief falsely claimed there was no prostration. Moreover, at another event, the statues were processed into St. Peter's Basilica, where the Pope and Curia of cardinals offered prayers in a circle around the strange objects. They were also processed on a boat into the Synod Hall, and one of the statues remains there, directly in front of the Pope's place on the dais at the Synod Hall, such that all the Synod Fathers are looking directly at the statue in front of the Pope during all the Synod proceedings. An additional number of the statues were brought to the Church of Santa Maria in Transpontina, just steps from the Vatican, and that church has been transformed into an exhibit hall of sorts for the Amazon-themed displays, including that grotesque poster of the woman feeding a weasel or piglet or whatever it is. It was also from that church on early Monday morning that the Pachamama statues were taken by at least two men, and they were dumped into the Tiber River under Castle Sant'Angelo, the castle of St. Michael the Archangel. The act has been hailed as heroic. The act, by the way, of taking the statues and dumping them into the river has been hailed as heroic by some, comparing it to the Christ's ousting of the money changers from the temple, when and by others it has been described as theft or vandalism and even racism. Well, Cardinal Gerhard Müller, who of course was the head of the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith under Pope Benedict, removed by Pope Francis, has commented on the removal of those statues on Thursday night on EWTN. And here's what he told Raymond Arroyo when he was asked about the removal of the statues. He said, and I quote, "The great mistake was to bring the idols into the church, not to put them out, because according to the law of God himself, the first commandment, idolatry is a grave sin, not to mix with the Christian liturgy." Cardinal Müller continued, to put the statues out, to throw them out can be against human law, but to bring the idols into the church was a grave sin, a crime against the divine law. For LifeSite News, this is John Henry Westen, keeping you up to date on all that's going on in the Vatican firsthand, and may God bless you.